Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by Sportsman's Warehouse, Counts Marine, the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, and Avery Superstore.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. It's almost Outdoors with Gene Smith. You know, we could do that if we wanted to do that as we celebrate this good friend of mine that on this fifth Saturday since he is here, along with our good friend Charlie Covington. If you missed Charlie's poem, you can go to lroutdoors.com, and we should have that posted later this afternoon. But Gene Smith is here. He brought along his entourage, as I said. He's got his son Russell, and he also has his grandson Matthew in with us. And
two handsome dudes.
Well, that's 2 out of 3. That ain't
that's
bad.
Right,
That ain't bad. I don't know which one's the two he's talking about, but we've had some guests. We surprised him. This next guest should not be any surprise to Gene. He's had many encounters with this man who is himself a local legend, as we might call it. Not in his mind, but a lot of our minds. But who best to talk about Gene Smith than Andy Tweed?
All right.
Hey, Andy.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
He's doing good, buddy. He's waiting on the chicken casserole, okay? All right.
That's pheasant casserole.
Oh, okay. Well, of course, you folks know out there, Andy Tweed is a wildlife officer based out of Southwest Tennessee in this area with the TWRA 26 years. Is that right? Or
That's right.
26 years. Well, let's talk, Andy. I know that you've known Gene for a while. So we've asked.
I've known Gene for 25 3/4 years. He was
25.
one of the first people I met. One of the first people I met when I got to Shelby County.
And he told you, "Go east, young man."
he said, "Turn the car around and get the heck out of here."
But you know, I know that these have been trying times for the Smith family. But at the same time, I think that a lot of folks are pouring out, as Gene has said, his church at Leewood, his family, all of his friends and everything. And I said, let's just do a pep talk here. You know, we want to let Gene know and his family that we're behind him. But at the same time, we've got great memories, and you probably have dealt with him as many as anybody. So talk to us about Gene Smith. What makes him tick? Tick. Oh, that's a bad word to use. He's got 3 ticks on him right now. Let's get off there, though.
Well, he's got fleas, he's got ticks, and he doesn't bathe very often. But anyway, that's part of it. No, I honestly don't know what makes him tick, but I wish I had some of his go-go juice every once in a while because he seems to be on the go all the time. And ever since the day I've met him, he's been on 2 wheels and is always doing for other people, always putting other people's issues or whatever they need in front of his own. And he's been that way all these years. And just a fantastic hunter education teacher. He and I had a great time at Graceland about 3 months ago with the scouts down there. We had a fantastic time down there.
Yeah, and Elvis was still there. I mean, you know,
Elvis was there.
He was there with Gene Smith, you know, because Gene's from Hume High School, man. I mean, he was there. He was telling me stories about Red West and all these different kind of things, and then Hume's High comes in. But you know, teaching Gene, was that? Tell our listeners how you got into that, and Andy can hear this story I'd like to hear. So what about 1885? Back in 1985 or somewhere in that area, 83 or so. But, it feels like that. But you had some friends or something that invited you to go, and I'm not sure. You know, Buddy Good, Bobby Barlow, John Vaughn, those are some names that I came up with.
Well, it was Terry Koblenz.
All right, Terry Koblenz.
He lived across the street, and he's a gun salesman.
Uh-huh.
He said, let's go to Raleigh Community Center. They're having a hunter education class, and I'll meet people and sell guns. He never opened his mouth, and I've been running mine ever since.
Does that sound right to you, Andy?
Absolutely.
But
you got to tell them to put a sock in it every once in a while.
I got to tell you one thing. My wife loved Andy.
She did.
She
yes.
loved Andy.
And why?
Because he's such a super guy.
He is, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. It wasn't because of the food he brought.
No, that's true.
Anything like that. But you did have and you still have a relationship with his family, Andy. And now,
absolutely.
And now that you've got Hutch, and you got that young boy and everything like that, and you're teaching him the outdoors, just like Gene taught all those kids. And I think Gene really responds to kids. And I know
he really does.
And I know with his Matthew here and Russell here in the studio like that, if you don't have a relationship with your students and you're just there to make the money, you're not going to get rich as a hunter education instructor. No, because it is volunteer, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, what did you get out of it being a hunter?
Well, the kids, look at their face. Sometimes we'd see them. Now, Vicky, my wife, she can remember the names. I don't know how she did that, but
she knew the names.
Yeah, because she did all the paperwork and everything.
Uh-huh.
And when we go out somewhere and said, "Hey, Mr. Gene," or "Hi, Miss Vicky," and "Do you remember me?" I said, "Of course," but I never did. There's so many of them. But I didn't want to hurt their feelings,
Well, that story, too, about how she became an instructor, too. I mean, you were before her doing it, right?
Yeah, she kept, she did the paperwork at home. I said, "Well, come on, go to class with me."
Uh-huh.
And she enjoyed it because she's like me. She never meets a stranger.
Yeah.
And she got tired of looking at the same videos over and over. She said, "I can't take more of this." I said, "Well, go outside and talk to somebody." But she said, "I'll just do the paperwork at home. I just do videos over and over, like having 3 classes a week. It get kind of boring."
Yeah. But Andy relates. I know in the fishing rodeos or whatever it might be, Andy, that the world's a better place for people like you, Gene.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
absolutely.
And I speak that from the heart because I know, if you relate a hunter education instructor to your 12th grade math teacher, I don't even remember my 12th grade math teacher, but I sure remember people who touched my life through the years. And I think that Andy's that same way, the people person. He's been here 26 years, folks.
Andy is very intelligent.
And let's don't get carried away now.
No, he is very sharp.
I wouldn't go that far, Gene.
He is very sharp.
So talk about you got a Gene Smith story that we can say on the air?
I've got all kinds of Gene Smith stories, but I'm going to back it on over to Vicky real quick. I got really, really sick about 10 years ago, and I had some kind of infection in my lung, and we could never figure out what it was. They thought it was cancer. They got me in the hospital and finally figured out what it was. And anyway, Vicky was one of the first people to show up at the hospital. She was right there, and she had this little magic wand, and she kept hitting me with this magic wand. Saying, "We're going to make you better. We're going to make you better." So
she had a magic wand?
Yeah, she had a little magic wand. I guess she bought it at Walgreens or something. She used to beat the snot out of me with it. So, anyway, but, it was amazing. A couple of days later, I got better and finally got out of the hospital. So
amazing. I know that. And,
yep.
And I know the relationship there that you have had with this family for a long time. And Andy doesn't have an easy job, folks. I'm telling you. If you're going to spend that much time in Shelby County and grew up in East Tennessee in the mountains, we've had Andy on the show. We've talked to Andy and about that. But if you had to describe Gene Smith, I've asked the other people, how would you describe this 6'4" hunk of man here? Okay.
That 6'4", 350-pound hunk of man is crammed into a 5'8" or 9 size body.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, the world is full. It's absolutely full of takers and very few givers. But Gene Smith is a giver. He's a teacher, he's a mentor, but he's a good friend, and he is there. Even through his troubles, he will still find time for you, and that is an extremely hard trait to find in this day and age.
Well,
and he's a wonderful friend.
Well, we can't. That's a great place to close it out, Andy. Thank you. I know that meant a lot to Gene, meant a lot to Matthew, meant a lot to Russell to hear that. I know it meant a lot to me for you to take time to be with us on this Saturday morning. You're a busy guy, but he said, "Man, I ain't gonna miss this. I want to be part of this." I know you are. So thank you, buddy.
Yep.
We'll stay in touch.
Right.
Okay. Talk to you. All right.
Y'all take care. Love you, Gene.
Love you too, brother.
All right. Andy Tweed.
Let me tell you a story about Pete Creech.
Yeah, we got time for
It's short. Well, I went to see him at the hospital.
Pete Creech. Let's.
He's one of the wildlife officers.
A former wildlife officer in this area and in West Tennessee.
Right.
Great guy. Good Christian man. Okay, go ahead.
He's at the hospital one time. He was rabbit hunting, and he was cleaning rabbits and cut himself. You know, his wife's a doctor.
Yes, she is.
So they put him in the hospital here because thought he might have had some infection.
Uh-huh.
So I went and got a cake made, and I found these little rabbits that had their hands over their mouth, and I wrote on the cake, or I had it wrote on there, "Put that knife down, Pete." He called his wife, and she came all the way to the hospital and took a picture of him and holding that cake. He said, "You won't believe what this idiot brought me."
And they still hadn't eaten it yet.
No, he hadn't.
They're worried about it
Yeah.
still, you know. They don't know, might be a knife stuck inside there or something, you know. So, we could do story after story, but and we'll try to save it for this next segment as we close out this wonderful show. And, Charlie, I know you've been kind of quiet over there. We hadn't really given you a chance to say anything. But we'll probably ask you on the next segment to try to think of something.
I have got my ears full today.
Okay, your ears full. Okay, well, I thought you were asleep there once, but I guess you were so stunned by what Gene was saying here, and that I'll save that one for last. Here.
Larry, I was just telling program director that in this short time I've learned more about Gene Smith than I have in a couple of years.
Oh, man.
But not all of it I can tell.
I've known a lot. I can tell you some more, all right? Let's take a break, come right back. Going to close it out with another good friend that I know wants to talk about Gene and has no trouble talking. We'll be right back on Outdoors with Larry Ray.